Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Today we've got a brand new story to share with you. So let's begin. My Sarah, that was her name. Thin, blue eyes that sparkled with a scattering of freckles. Fair skin, and hair the color of pale sunlight, a natural blonde. She'd messed up with me before, way back when we were just kids in college, dating and dumb. I'd let it go, swallowed it down. But lately, since the start of the year, I'd seen that old familiar shift in her, that edgy, distant way she had when she was being sneaky back then. Then the bedroom went quiet. That quiet that screams louder than any fight. My gut twisted. Was she doing it again? The easiest thing, the first thing that popped into my head, was to just see where she was. I flicked on the Find My Phone thing on her mobile. 2 days later, I was stuck in my office, staring at spreadsheets, when I saw her phone was at home. Sarah was a realtor. Her days were a map of open houses and appointments, not our empty house on a Wednesday afternoon. I told my boss I had a sudden craving for a very long lunch and drove home. Her car was the only one in the drive. Maybe she just popped back for something, I told myself, the lie feeling thin even as I thought it. I walked into the quiet house and just knew. That feeling, like a cold hand on my spine. It was coming from upstairs. A low moan, then a clearer, "Oh, come on." I walked to the bedroom door, my own phone suddenly heavy in my hand. I nudged the door open just a crack and held my phone out. Recording. The screen showed me everything. Sarah was on the bed, naked on all fours. And there was Mark, our neighbor, doing things to her. Then I saw Tom, our other neighbor, waiting his turn. Both of them married, kids still in diapers. The bed was covered in this big rubber sheet, something I'd never seen before. This was planned. This was a routine. After maybe a minute, Sarah said something to Tom. My stomach churned like something was dying inside me. I had enough. Enough to prove everything. I went downstairs, poured myself a stiff drink in the kitchen, and just stood there, the glass cold in my hand, the reality of it all washing over me. My Sarah, a cheat, and apparently a freak in bed. The woman I thought I knew was gone. I don't want her anymore, I said out loud to the empty room. I need a plan. Standing there, staring at the kitchen cabinets, something clicked. Yeah, I muttered. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I went to the fridge, took out all but one bottle of her fancy wine, and shoved them into the cupboard. I found her purse on the kitchen table, fished out 2 of her sleeping pills, ground them up with the back of a spoon and stirred the powder into the 1 bottle of wine I'd left in the fridge. Back in the dining room, I pulled out my laptop. I paused, listening to the muffled sounds from upstairs. Round 2 was starting. I went online and took Sarah's name off my medical stuff, my life insurance. I split our bank accounts. I found some DIY divorce papers for our state and started filling them out, the digital ink feeling strangely satisfying. Later, the shower started upstairs. They were in there for ages, the water running and running. Our stairs ended right in front of the front door, which was straight across from the dining room. When all 3 of them finally came down, damp and relaxed, I looked up and said, "You guys are so screwed." I hit send on my phone. "Enjoy your divorces." They froze on the landing like statues caught mid-action. Mark was the first to twitch. "What did you do, you piece of trash?" Mark, who was a good 2 inches taller than me and 20 pounds heavier, mostly around the middle. "I just ended your marriage," I said, my voice flat. "Just like you ended mine. I'm going to kick your butt," he roared, taking a step towards me. Before he could work up the nerve to actually do anything, I stood up, smooth and quick, and grabbed 2 carving knives I'd hidden under a napkin on the table. I stepped forward, closing the distance, a knife in each hand. My eyes locked on Mark. "How about you, Tom?" I asked, not even glancing at him. "You feeling the same way?" "No, man," Tom stammered, backing away. "I don't want any part of this." "Then leave," I said, gesturing to the door with the knife in my left hand, still staring at Mark. Tom didn't need a second invitation. He bolted. "There goes your backup, Mark. Just you and me now." I'd never liked Mark. Always thought he was a fake, a backstabber. "You never liked me because you knew what you really were." Mark was seething. "I'm going to take that knife and shove it." He took another step closer. I moved too, pointing a knife at his face. "Go ahead. Make your move. When you try to grab this one," I said, the steel glinting inches from his nose, "the other 8 inches of this one are going straight into your gut. Or maybe I'll just take out an eye first. You feeling lucky?" Hatred burned in Mark's eyes. "Come on, tough guy," I taunted, a sick smile spreading across my face. "I'm looking forward to it." I leaned in closer. "Tell you what, to give you some extra motivation, I'm gonna screw your wife after this." Always thought she liked me better anyway. I knew that hit a nerve. He was always jealous of the easy way his wife and I got along. And yeah, the bigger tool comment felt good because it was true. Mark's face went redder. "What's wrong, tough guy? All that talk about never backing down." I lunged forward, Just a quick jab, the knife tip flicking towards his eye. He flinched so hard he almost tripped. Something shifted in Mark's face then. The anger was still there, but underneath it, I saw real fear. And then I saw the wet patch spreading down his pants. He was pissing himself. I just watched him, a cold satisfaction settling in my chest. "Mark," I said, my voice dripping with disdain. "You're getting piss on my floor. Get the hell out of my house." "Screw you," he screamed. And then he was gone, a fat, lumbering figure running down the street. "Pity," I said to the empty air. I really hated that guy, really wanted to see him bleed. Sarah was white as a sheet, her eyes wide and terrified. She closed the front door, her hand shaking. I turned to her, all cheerfulness. "Come on, honey," I said. "Let's have a little chat. Careful, don't step in tough guy's puddle." I sat back down at the dining table, placing the knives carefully under the napkin. I gestured to the chair opposite me. Sarah scurried over and sat down, trembling. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, her voice small. I picked up the divorce papers in front of me. "Yes, you are," I said, my voice normal, almost conversational. "You're a pretty sorry excuse for a person." Before she could stammer out another lie, I pushed the papers across the table. "Here, these are the online divorce papers. No fault state. 50-50 split. I'll give you the house, I'll keep my retirement. I've already moved my half of the bank accounts, paid off the credit cards and canceled them. I want you out of my life quick as possible. So I'm being fair, making this easy. But no alimony." Her fake remorse vanished. "I know my rights. You make way more. I want alimony. And the house." I smiled thinly. "Would you like to see the video? The one I sent to your parents, your family, your friends? In fact, I think any future boyfriends might get a copy too. So much for marrying rich again." I showed her my phone screen, the paused image of her with Mark and Tom. "That's blackmail, is it?" "Not my fault. Mark's and Tom's wives sent it out. They must really hate you for blowing up their lives." I tapped the papers. "Sign them. This is the best deal you're going to get. The longer you wait, the more likely that video goes public." She looked them over, her face a mask of resentment, and signed where I'd marked. "Good," I said. "I'll file these today. I'm moving out, so I'll be in and out the next few days. Took the rest of the week off work. Just try to stay out of my way. I'm not letting you take whatever you want. I'm watching you." "Fine," I said, and stood up, leaving the house to file the papers. When I got back with a small rental van, Sarah was on the couch, naked, a glass of wine in her hand. "I'm recording," I said, holding up my phone. "You might want to put some clothes on." She smiled, a sad, desperate thing. "Don't you still love me?" I didn't answer. Part of me wanted to say something cutting, but the silence was clearly getting under her skin. "You know you'll miss this body," she said, running a hand down her bare leg. I looked at her for a long moment, then turned and walked upstairs to pack my clothes. She followed me, lay on the bed, and started trying to seduce me while I folded shirts. Excuses, sweet talk, the whole pathetic routine. After about 20 minutes of me ignoring her, she started touching herself. "I miss you," she whispered. "Come here. Claim what's yours." I didn't react, didn't look at her. She slid off the bed and pressed her naked body against my back. "Come on, baby. I'll even let you, you know." She rarely did. Now I knew why. One wasn't enough. She reached around and grabbed me. My anger, my disgust, thankfully drowned out any flicker of desire. Finally, she realized I wasn't going to talk, wasn't going to be turned on. She let go and walked to the bedroom door. "Maybe if you were better in bed," she spat. "I wouldn't have to screw other men." I kept packing, didn't even glance at her. In all our years together, I'd always responded to her advances. This silence, this complete lack of interest, clearly enraged her. She stormed downstairs, yelling up at me as she went. "If you had been a better husband, if you paid more attention to me, we wouldn't be having this problem." Her final shout echoed from the bottom of the stairs. "You're never going to touch me again until you apologize for treating me so badly." Wow, I thought, loading a box into the van. What a train wreck. She sat on the couch in her robe, drinking wine and watching TV, pretending I wasn't there. An hour later, carrying another box past the living room, I saw she was asleep. I went into the kitchen and looked at the wine bottle. Almost empty. I nudged her. "How cold?" Yelled her name. Nothing. A grim satisfaction settled over me. "I love it when a plan comes together," I murmured. I slipped her wedding ring off her finger and put it in my pocket. Set her phone to airplane mode and tucked it in a kitchen drawer. I closed all the blinds, covered the glass in the front door with a black blanket I'd bought earlier, covered the garage windows too, disconnected the doorbell. The rest of the evening was spent boxing up everything I wanted: her expensive jewelry, her precious kitchen gadgets. Did those first just in case. Her sleeping pills knocked her out for 8 hours, and she was always groggy for another hour after. While she was under, she was dead weight. I crushed another pill and sprinkled the powder into her slightly open mouth, then dribbled in a little wine. She coughed, swallowed. Repeated that every 6 hours. 8 a.m. I made myself breakfast, went outside and rearranged the backyard, padlocked the side gate, gave Sarah another pill, carried her outside, and set her in a lawn chair. I tied some rope between the trees and hung big beach towels on it. Not that anyone was likely looking, but just in case it would look like we were drying towels by the pool. In reality, it blocked the view of my naked wife from the neighbors. I kept packing the van all day, moving stuff to a storage unit and personal things to a cheap motel room. Every 6 hours, another pill. Every hour, I adjusted her chair so she stayed in the sun, making sure she got an even tan. Around noon, someone started banging on the front door. Peeking through the window, I saw Mark's and Tom's wives. "Come out here, you slut!" one of them screamed. "I'm going to kick your ass. You can't hide forever, you trash." I parked the small van inside the garage. They tried the side gate, but thankfully didn't climb over. The black blanket made the house look empty and dark. After about 5 minutes, they gave up and left. By the end of the day, Sarah was red as a lobster. After sunset, I carried her inside and put her on the couch, turning on the ceiling fan. Set my alarm for every 6 hours. Keep her under. Friday morning, 9 a.m., back to the lawn chair. Surprisingly, around 1 p.m., the pain from the sun actually woke her up. I watched her stumble in through the back door, blinking in confusion. "Sarah, what happened to you? You're so burned. Here, lie down, drink this water." I guided her to the couch, gave her the water, which had another crushed sleeping pill in it. Once she was out again, I carried her back outside. I went back in, emptied 2 more wine bottles, and thoroughly washed out the doctored wine bottle and the water glass. After sunset, I brought her back inside. Her skin was radiating heat. Blisters were already forming. Too clear, too beautiful, too sunny those days had been. I let the sedative wear off, removed the blankets from the windows, opened all the blinds, took the padlock off the gate, and untied the towels. 8 p.m. I poked her burned stomach. Nothing. Tried again an hour later. Sarah woke up screaming. "Don't touch me. Sarah, I need to take you to the hospital. You fell asleep in the sun. You're badly sunburned." "Where am I? I hurt." She was groggy, disoriented. "My God, Sarah, you look awful. Your face is all swollen." Gently, she put on her robe. I had to carry her to the car. The soles of her feet were too burned to walk on. At the emergency room, the doctor asked questions. How many hours was she in the sun? "I don't know. I recently moved out. Luckily, I had to come back for some things and found her on the couch. I think she got drunk and fell asleep in the sun all day." "Will she be all right?" "Yes, but we won't know the full extent of the damage until the swelling goes down. She has 2nd-degree burns over her entire front, possibly 3rd-degree in some areas. Sun poisoning. We're hydrating her." After the doctor left, I peeked in. Burned gauze covered her entire front, a pad over her lower body. I'd made sure her legs were spread, facing the sun. A nurse came up. "Are you the husband?" "Ex-husband." "Well, soon to be." "Insurance information?" "Nope." Dropped her. "Don't think she has any other. You'll need to ask her when she wakes up." I turned and left. The next day, 2 cops showed up at the house while I was packing. One asked questions while the other looked around. Kitchen, laundry room, backyard. "Can we ask you about your wife's sunburn?" "Soon-to-be ex-wife, Sarah. We're divorcing." "Right. When did you last see her not sunburned?" "Thursday. I came by a few times for my stuff." "She was on the couch." "Was she tanning on Thursday?" "Yeah. Nice red tan all over." "Around 8 p.m. How could you tell the extent of her tan?" "She was naked. I caught her on Wednesday getting double-teamed by my 2 neighbors. She was trying to talk me out of the divorce." "When did you next see her?" "Friday morning. Came by for more stuff. She was inside when she saw me, completely nude, drunk, feeling sorry for herself. Tried to come on to me again. Got mad when I said no. I got my things and left. She was back out in the sun. A wine bottle with her." "Does your wife normally drink much?" "A couple of glasses in the sun. Found 3 empty bottles Friday night. She doesn't usually go through that much unless she's with friends. But she drinks more when she's down, and she was definitely down about me leaving her sorry ass." "Can you give us the names of the friends she tans with?" "Her 2 best friends. But they hate her now." "Why?" "Those 2 guys I told you about? They're husbands. Your wife claims you drugged her and left her in the sun. She blames me for being an idiot. I always told her not to drink when she took those stupid sleeping pills." "Sleeping pills? She takes them?" Yeah, prescription. Takes them like candy when she wants to sleep, is depressed or in pain. Honestly, she likes to mix them with booze. Gets her higher than a kite. I see. Well, thank you. As they turned to leave, I gave them my best confused look. Thought it was a nice touch. Honestly curious what they were thinking. Honesty is always the best policy with the police. As soon as they were gone, I swapped the small van for a big one. Needed the space for furniture and all the stuff from the garage. Monday, I put the house up for sale. Figured I'd need the leverage soon. 2 days later, my phone rang. Honey, can you bring me some clothes? Sarah's voice, weak and whiny. Nope, not going to happen. Why don't you ask Mark or Tom to run your errands for you? Honey, I need your help. Can't you forgive me? Just a little? You already got your little bit of help from me. I had to carry your sorry butt to the car and drive you to the hospital. Don't call me ever again. I hung up. By the time Sarah got out of the hospital, I'd cleared out the house. Everything except her oldest clothes, some cheap makeup, our bed, and that damn rubber sheet. Found it hidden at the bottom of a laundry basket in a big Ziploc bag. I left no sheets, blankets, or pillows on the bed. Just the rubber sheet. The one she hadn't had a chance to clean. I bet the room smelled lovely by the time she got home, especially since I'd turned off the central air before I left. Nice and toasty for my sunburned ex. Everything I wanted was in a storage unit. Anything I didn't want or that Sarah might fight for in the divorce, I sold at a resale shop or just threw away. Burned the entire wedding album, deleted all the digital copies, and even torched her wedding dress in the backyard. We both lawyered up. I only spoke to her through them. Sarah sent hundreds of texts and emails, mostly apologies, but quite a few threats too, especially after she got home and saw the empty house. She tried to fight the divorce papers she'd signed, said she was under duress, claimed I'd stolen everything, wanted alimony. Luckily, the house sold before the divorce was final. When I threatened to hold up the sale and not sign over her half of the money, she finally agreed to drop the fight. I knew she was desperate. A month after the divorce, after dark, there was a hard pounding on my apartment door. Peeking through the peephole, I saw her. Sarah. Haven't spoken to her since the hospital. She looked like she'd been drinking. Knew this day would come. I opened the door and she shoved her way in. What do you want, Sarah? I want a drink. She went straight to the fridge, grabbed the open bottle of wine, and took a long swallow. Then she found a glass, filled it to the brim, emptying the bottle. Wine in hand, she plopped down on my couch. Why don't you make yourself at home? I said, every word dripping with sarcasm. I will, she replied, just as cuttingly. She took off her light jacket and leaned back. She was wearing some tiny top that barely covered anything. That cocky, entitled look I knew so well was back on her face. I sat down across from her, looked at her hard. She had more wrinkles now, dark blotches on her face. Her skin had peeled badly and was all uneven, patches of white, red, and gray. No makeup. Guess her doctors told her not to. The biggest change was her nose. It was noticeably bigger, bumpy, and scarred. Not that cute little button nose anymore. She probably should have kept the jacket on. Her body had even more of those dark moles. The skin looked much worse. Sarah had always been so proud of her looks, always dressed to get attention, to get her way with me. I knew she had to be self-conscious now. Part of this visit, I figured, was a desperate attempt to get some of that old adoration back, to prop up her bruised ego. I made no effort to hide my lack of interest. She visibly wilted under my gaze. That cockiness just evaporated. What did she expect? She was a narcissist, used to getting whatever she wanted with a smile and a wiggle. The sunburn had aged her years in weeks. Instead of slowly losing her appeal, she'd become almost invisible overnight. Especially to me. What do you want, Sarah? I asked, my voice flat. She tried a weak smile. I want you to give me another chance. Love is trust. I don't trust you. Instead of making things better between us, you selfishly hid that wild, exciting Sarah from me and gave it to other men. No matter your reasons, your actions said I wasn't worth the effort. It didn't take anything away from us. I was still the same wife. You should have used that energy to add life to our relationship, not poison it. I knew Sarah well enough to know she'd come with a script. The surprised look on her face told me I'd just skipped ahead of her opening lines. What do you really want, Sarah? Her smile vanished. I want you to pay for my medical bills. You shouldn't have taken me off your health care. We weren't officially divorced yet. Actually, that's exactly how it's supposed to work in a divorce. We separate our finances. We no longer cohabitate. That's how it's done. Looking at me from under her new, droopy eyelids, she said, You did this to me. You owe me. I'll go to the police if you don't help me. That dog won't hunt, Sarah. The police came by months ago, questioned me. Nothing's happened since then, or during our divorce hearing. No one believes your crazy story. I know you did this to me. What? Let you lie out in the sun, getting drunk and falling asleep? Last I checked, there wasn't a law against that. How could you? You loved me. Loved. Past tense. We sat in silence for a few moments. Then she tried her most pitiful voice. I need your help. I have a mountain of medical bills. I'm out of money. I need more skin treatments, maybe even skin grafts to fix things. Looking at me with those sad, ruined eyes, she added, I still love you. I know you loved me. We could still. I think the sunburn had messed with her tear ducts. I could tell she was trying to cry for sympathy, but nothing came out. Why don't you ask Mark or Tom for help? They must love you too. She gave me this weird, guilty, angry, sorry look all at once. They're both divorced, broke, and want nothing to do with me. A few weeks after we split, Mark came over to my hotel room wanting to have sex. Thought he could just, but he couldn't get it up. I could see in his eyes that I reminded him of the moment he pissed his pants in fear of you. He stormed out, calling me a dried-up old skank. He never liked you, and it was eating him up that he backed down to you so spectacularly. What's worse, his wife had seen the video you sent and was waiting at home for him. She saw he'd wet himself and knew you'd caused it. She even took pictures. I had sex with Mark's wife numerous times since that day. She asked me why Mark had peed himself, and I told her. Afterwards, she always brought your name up when she spoke to him. With her permission, I sent Mark a sex pic every week. Nothing anyone could tell was her and I, but enough so Mark could tell. We stopped having sex a few weeks ago, but I had lots of pics. And yes, I made sure he could see that it really was bigger. I didn't try so hard with Tom. There wasn't anything left to destroy after he lost his family. In so many words, Sarah admitted during some of her drunk texts that Mark had chased her, but she had seduced Tom. Sarah wanted a threesome, thought Tom was cute and young. At one of Mark's barbecues, I'd seen how excited Tom had been when Sarah flirted with him. After their first time, Tom wanted to break it off, said it was a mistake, but Mark and Sarah blackmailed him with photos Mark had secretly taken. Tom learned the hard way how vulnerable cheaters are. You really did scare the piss out of Mark, Sarah said, a strange excitement shining in her eyes. She was reliving the moment. It exhilarated her. Her eyes told me she was hoping it had been some kind of twisted effort on my part to win her back. I just stared at her, my expression dead, until that hope flickered and died. As for Tom, she continued, his wife calls him Muncher to everyone, even their kids. She's never going to let him or anyone else forget. She sent your video to everyone he knows, including his family and mine. I found Tom at the grocery store to see if we could. He started crying and fell to the floor, just sobbing. I left when the cop showed up. He's more broken than Mark is. I could see the haunted look in her eyes as she recalled the way Mark and Tom had looked at her, the wreckage she'd caused. Sarah took a big swig of wine, trying to wash away the pain. Why don't you offer them kinky sex? That used to work. I can't have sex, she blurted out. Why not? Catch a disease? No. The sunburn. Oh God, you have no idea. My body is horribly sensitive. I have to constantly put gauze pads everywhere. Even a breeze across my skin is painful. From what I saw. Oh, you like that kind of thing? But I don't think that's what Mark and Tom are really interested in anymore. Nope. Her tear ducts finally kicked in. Sarah burst out sobbing, half yelling, the sunburn. My private parts are also burnt. Through her sobs, she choked out, down there. It was sunburned just as bad as the rest of me. After the skin peeled off, I lost all feeling. The doctor said maybe it'll come back, but I can't feel anything anymore. I can't, anymore. She sobbed harder, burying her face in her hands. I let her cry for a few minutes. I could tell she was hoping my heart would break, that I'd take her in my arms. Instead, I picked up my own glass of wine and handed it to her. She drank a couple of big gulps, sniffled. It gave me a small, grim smile. Unbelievable. She thought she could just waltz back in here. A few tears, a skimpy outfit, and a sad story, after she'd ripped my life apart and treated me like dirt. She still expected me to be her safety net, her emotional and financial crutch. I smiled to myself. I'd napalmed her easy mode life. Now to crush the last remaining embers of hope and get her completely out of my life. When Sarah saw my slight smile, she stopped crying and gave me this weak, hopeful little grin. I stood up, took her arm gently, and guided her to the front door. At the open doorway, she turned and pressed her body against mine, looked up into my eyes with a desperate longing. Don't you still love me? Looking deep into her ruined eyes, I slowly shut the door and said, why would I? Everything about you that I loved is gone. Standing defeated on my doorstep, I quietly closed the door in her face. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this. See you next time.